Hey guys, Kristie here. I'm out here on my deck today getting some stuff done in this beautiful weather that we have. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and talk to you about the gear that I use. Whether you are a photographer watching this to get a few ideas of how to get started, or you're a client wondering what does she actually use and bring, and what do I need to look for when I'm hiring her. So let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, I always bring 2 cameras with me to a wedding or engagement session or portrait session. The reason for this, sorry, it's in my face. The reason for this is those are the most important days of your life when you are with your significant other. The last thing that I want to happen is for my camera to go down and you not get those moments captured that you have been counting on. So let me get into what I use. Okay, so I am a Canon shooter, first of all. I always have been. I've never shot with a Nikon or Sony or anything like that. I've always, my whole life, have been a Canon shooter. I take that back. When I was in high school, I was a Pentax shooter for film. That's where we started out, and I absolutely love my Pentax film cameras. Film is still something near and dear to my heart today, and if you ask for it, I'm happy to offer it. I shoot with my primary camera, I should say, is a Canon R6. It's tack sharp, mirrorless. It's fantastic camera. If you are a photographer looking to know more about a R6 camera, the best thing I can tell you to do, without getting into all this technical mumbo jumbo on this video and the settings and so on here, is rent one. Not every camera that any photographer I should say, uses is going to be for you. The best way to determine whether or not you want to invest in a certain camera type is rent one. For a day, for a week. Adorama is fantastic for this. This is who I rented my camera from before I decided that I wanted to purchase it. They do great things there. I am not by any means like an ambassador or anything for them. I'm just indicating that that's who I used. And I also, if I want to try a lens, I will also rent the lens before I purchase it. There are a couple of different places that you can rent lenses from. I also go through Adorama or rent lenses, rentlenses.com, I think it is. Anyway, getting back to it, my backup camera is a Canon R, so they're still in the R series, so all of my lenses will work. I tend to use the adapter because the lenses that I have are either from before I went to a mirrorless camera and before the R series camera came out, and I really like them. I have one R series lens that I'll talk to you about in a minute. Okay. I also wear a harness strap. For me, the harness is easiest to manage because I can have both my cameras on here. I am a prime lens shooter 90% of the time. So I prefer to have my my camera on a harness. If the harness is not something that you have tried, again, try it before you buy it, or try it try it on at your local camera store if you have, or camera shop if you have one. But for me, this works best for me. I don't know why this came unclipped, but I'm going to clip it back anyway. So those are my 2 camera bodies that I take to every engagement session, portrait session, or wedding. These 2. Okay. So like I said before, I'm a prime lens shooter. So I minimize my bag. I like the prime lenses for the reason of compression. I shoot with the Canon 50 1.8. I could go to a 1.4 and I could go to a 1.2, but here's the thing. Me personally, if you're a photographer watching this, I do not shoot below 1.8. If you shoot at 1.2, then go to a 1.2. If you shoot at 1.4, go to a 1.4. I personally do not shoot that low, or wide, I should say, because it just doesn't, it doesn't fit my, my branding or the way that I like my images to look. It's a preference issue. So I shoot with the 1.8 Canon. I'm at 80, my 85 millimeter is a Sigma 85 millimeter. I absolutely love Sigma's 85 millimeter lens. Again, if it's something that you want to try or use, rent the lens. But at 85 millimeter for me is something, no matter what brand you choose, an 85 millimeter for me fits my style and branding and is probably the lens that I use the most. 50 prime, because it gives me a little bit of wide shoot. I could shoot an entire wedding with this if I had to. I don't, but I could. I could shoot an entire wedding with an 85 if I had to, but I don't, but I could. And I have in the past, and they've turned out wonderful, just because of the way that I shoot and where I tend to be in the aisles and where I am. 85 works for me, 50 works for me. So generally what happens on a wedding day or an engagement is I have an 85 on one camera and a 50 on the other. Okay? So that's how I go about that. I do have a couple of lenses that I use that are that I don't use very often, but I have them in my kit depending on what I want to do with them. That is the R series 24 to 105. I actually like this. It's a kit lens that came with my camera. You're going to hear people make statements from time to time as a photographer about, oh, it's a kit lens. There's nothing wrong with a kit lens. There's just nothing wrong with it. If it fits your needs, go for it. I tend to not use a lot of zoom in or telephoto lenses because I enjoy the compression. However, sometimes when I'm outside, I will, depending on what I'm trying to do, I will use the 24 to 105 in two situations. One, I really like the wide open, like wide shot, the 24 millimeters, and get a really wide shot. Or 105, I go into 105 to get a little bit of a special look for that. It is not a 2.8 or with the beautiful bokeh that everybody wants, but that's okay with me. That's not part of my look. So I have one on hand. Okay. Another one that I have that I absolutely love, and kind of sad that in some ways that it doesn't match up as well with the Canon R adapter. I think I may need a firmware update, or they just haven't. It's not as compatible with the Canon R series as it was with my Mark II when I switched back in the day from Mark II on up to the mirrorless. Back when I switched. Anyway, it is a 35 millimeter tilt shift Composer Pro, and I use this for very specialized images. Sometimes I'll use it if I do a double exposure, which I don't do double exposures very often, but it depends on something on that. There are some art piece work that I do. If someone asks for an art piece to put in their gallery, my brand and style that I like to use the Lens Baby Composer Pro to help me achieve art images, fine art images. Everything that I shoot is for the wall or an album. I have people that ask, I just want the disc. Well, okay, that's great, and I'm willing to offer that for sure, but the disc doesn't look as good in the frame on the wall as it would if you printed the image. Just saying, it's not as pretty. I also, for lighting, I am a fan of Godox. I just am. Godox also equivalent would be Flashpoint here in the United States. It's the same company. GoPro just, I don't know. Anyway, I got introduced to GoPro and Flashpoint by my old studio owner. I used to be a member of a co-op studio in Salt Lake City, Utah, and our studio owner, Cliff, provided light as part of your membership to the studio, and one of the types of strobes and lighting solutions that he provided was Flashpoint. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful light. However, I just can't haul it with me out on a shoot, especially in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh specifically. The minute that you take out a tripod in the city, you are required to obtain a permit. Now, there's nothing wrong with obtaining a permit, and I will do that. However, it extends a cost to my client that they if they don't have to pay it, then why? So I make adjustments in other areas for my equipment where I can achieve the same results without putting an additional cost onto my client for a permit. To each his own. It's just the way that I do things. So I use, I have a couple of these in my kit. This is the Godox V1. I love these. I can do a lot of different things with them. I can bounce it off the ceiling if I'm in an interior that has an all white ceiling and gives me that beautiful white light. I can put it down low and give that beautiful shot of glow in behind the client. I can put it on my camera. I tend to, I'm not an ambassador of Godox. Not looking to sell stuff for companies because they pay me. I'm just giving you what I use. I don't know. Anyway, I tend to slap a grid on there to control the light with a dome, and I get some really beautiful light that way. It's just the way that I happen to do it. When I'm out shooting, I have, because I often need to place light in different areas, and like I said before, I don't want to pull out a light stand in the middle of downtown or some areas, unless it's a venue that you're able to do that without a problem. I have grips. They're Gorilla grips that attach to the bottom of my my lighting system, and I can hook them up anywhere. I can wrap them around a lighting pole if I want to, and point the light in the direction that I want it to, and get great light. So this is one of the tools that I use for lighting when I'm out on location. Another one is for Godox is my Godox A300 8300 Pro, and I like this because I can hold it handheld, or I can put it on a stand. Either way, I can put it on one of the stands that I was just telling you about if I need to. But I have other options here in my bag for this as well, that I can slap on here. I have lighting modifiers. All of my modifiers, by the way, fit in this little case. Like I said, I'm trying to minimize what I have to take out on a shoot. So all of my modifiers, my grids, I have a snoot, I have barn doors, I have all sorts of things that I can just slap on the end of that because it's magnetic, and carry it with me, and it stays right in my case. I have I have color filters. I have all sorts of stuff that I can do to the light to make it beautiful for the session or the wedding. But I like this one because it's handheld. If I am in a situation where I don't have an assistant, a lighting assistant, I can actually use this handheld with my camera in one hand, and shoot the other way. It also will work with my grips, my Gorilla grips that I bought to go with it. So this is a great option for me when I need a little extra oomph and power to my kit. If I want to create sunlight on a day that is cloudy, despite popular understanding, just because it's bright sunlight out during the day does not necessarily mean that it's great light for your images. Those are, I want a bright sunny day. Well, that's great, but a photographer's best friend is actually the cloudy day. Just, a little FYI there. So it fits in this case, nicely fits in this case that I have right here, so that it's not bulky at all for me to take. So my last two pieces of equipment that I take on every shoot and every wedding are my GoPro. Believe it or not, I harness this GoPro on me, and I can do all sorts of different things. I tend to try and video little moments for it, so I can do a highlight reel, or sometimes it gives me a wide shot that my other equipment does, or my other lenses do not. So yeah, you'll often see me on my shoots with a GoPro harness to my body with my other cameras over top of it. So that's 3 cameras that actually go with me on every shoot or on weddings. And last, it's actually kind of important, my Bluetooth stereo. Music plays a big part when it comes to relaxing people during the session. They tell you that the first 20 minutes of getting to know people is the hardest. It's uncomfortable. A lot of my clients are not used to being in front of the camera, and music can actually help with that. So just depending on what you're shooting, or the comfort level of the person, or the mood. I tend to bring a Bluetooth to set up so that I can make the session more comfortable. So that's what goes in my gear bag. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm hoping to do a few more of these videos about different things over, the next months, but that's what goes in my bag. See you soon, y'all.